Hi guys, so if you've been watching my channel, you obviously know that I'm obsessed with Dancing with the Stars, but something that you might not know is that I'm a ballroom dancer and have been for 12 years now. So as I get more of my friends into both watching my channel and some of them watching Dancing with the Stars, they aren't necessarily as familiar with the actual ballroom dancing as some other people who watch this channel who maybe are fans of the show are. So that's why I'm starting this series. I don't know if it's gonna be a mini series or full series or if I'm gonna do multiple series. I don't know. I don't have it fully figured out yet, but I'm starting this to do kind of just an intro to ballroom so they know what they're watching for and can feel a little more comfortable, and so I don't have to answer 5,000 questions when they're watching it. So this video is just going to kind of be an overall in ballroom, and then I'm going to dive into each of the individual dances and give more information on how to recognize them and how to know if it's technically good, because something that they've been pointing out is well, it's very obvious to tell when a dance is just terrible, but you can't really, they aren't as familiar with the techniques or the intricacies. So hopefully this series will be helpful, and I might go more in depth in another series or in another video, so you guys can comment. Anyone who's watching this can comment what they'd like to see, and I'll also be demonstrating steps and stuff. But in this video we're just talking about ballroom in general. So with that said, I'm gonna get started. So I also want to apologize for the quality of this camera because I'm trying to hold it to move it around, so it's not going to be the best. But the first thing that I want to talk about are ballroom shoes, because there are specific ballroom shoes. A lot of times people think, oh, it's just any kind of heel, any kind of dress shoe I'd wear to a party. No, there are specific ballroom shoes. These are mine. These are not the traditional ones. These are more like salsa shoes, but they work. They are especially built to be comfortable to dance with. They are far more flexible because when you're dancing, you have to be able to move them. They do have heels. These are obviously the female shoes, not the male shoes. The male shoes look more like a jazz shoe, kind of, if you're familiar with that, but they are also designed to specifically be this. They are just for ballroom. They don't go wear anything. Although I did actually start wearing some of my old ballroom shoes that I no longer wear in the studio as dress shoes because they're meant to be comfortable, so why not? So another thing I want to talk about is what we consider ballroom dance, because you often hear people throw around the term ballroom, but that's not exactly. It's ballroom and Latin, so we kind of just lump it into one. So we have the 5 major Latin dances that we call ballroom. I know it's confusing, but we just ballroom refers to the overall thing. So the 5 Latin dances are cha-cha and rumba. Those two are pretty similar. We'll get to that later. Samba, paso doble, and jive. Now, some people get confused because they're like, oh, well, that doesn't seem Latin. Jive is all energetic, but that's what we consider it. And then the ballroom dances that you'll see on Dancing with the Stars, because that is what I'm trying to focus on here, you will see tango, Argentine tango, waltz, Viennese waltz, and foxtrot. That's pretty much all. Sometimes they throw in a mambo or a Charleston. I think one time they did a lambada or a bachata, but those are not really the main ones in Dancing with the Stars. So those are our different kinds of dances, and they are different, but we will get more into that in another thing. I just want to talk about it overall. And something else that is unique to ballroom is that, if you want to do a jazz, you can do a jazz dance to any song on the planet. Same with contemporary or tap or something. Obviously you want it to fit the choreography, but you can do it to any song on the planet. That is not the case for ballroom. Each dance can only be done to specific songs, not because of the song, but because of the beats and where the emphasis on the beats are. So for example, all the dances are counted in different ways. Obviously, music goes 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, or depending on whatever time signature it's in. So obviously, they're not different like that, but where you put the emphasis on, which again, I'll get into that in the individual dances, but so hearing a song, you never have to think oh, I don't know which kind of dance I want to do to this, because once you recognize the beat, you know what dance it is right away. And that also helps with recognizing dances. Once you hear it, it can only be one kind of dance or two. There are some songs that don't necessarily have a key distinction, and then that's when we kind of say, oh, it's like fusion or whatever. But there are clear ways for songs to be identified, or to identify the dance from that song. So that does it for the first video in my Intro to Ballroom series. In the next episode, we will be talking about cha-cha and basics of how to identify it. Thanks for watching!